Okay, just for a second, picture the absolute worst case scenario. You're out in the middle of the ocean and you have to abandon ship. Your one and only hope is that bright orange capsule bobbing in the water, the lifeboat. But have you ever actually wondered what's inside one? It's not just an empty boat. It's a whole world of survival planned down to the last detail. So let's crack it open and see what's inside. Right, so the first thing you need to know is that the gear packed into this boat is anything but random. Every single item in there, from a simple whistle to a high-tech flare, is there for a reason. It's all mandated by a huge international agreement designed for one thing and one thing only, to keep you alive. And the rulebook for all of this? It's called SOLAS. That stands for the International Convention for the Safety of Life at Sea. You can just think of it as the global law for maritime safety. It's what dictates exactly what has to be on board every single lifeboat on pretty much every commercial ship in the world. This is the code that turns survival at sea from a game of chance into a science.
So how do you even begin to organize something like this? Well, you can think of the lifeboat as a floating survival capsule. And all the equipment inside, it follows a kind of hierarchy of needs. It's all about solving the most urgent, life-threatening problems first.
The first challenge is just immense. You have to survive the launch itself and the total chaos of the moments right after. It's all about wresting back control from the ocean and stabilizing your new, tiny world. So how do you tame a little boat in a massive storm? Well, first, you've got painters. These are basically ropes that keep the lifeboat from smashing against the ship's hull while it's being lowered. But once you're in the water, this incredible piece of gear called a sea anchor takes over. Now, it's not an anchor that holds you in place. It's more like a parachute for the water. You throw this fabric cone out, and it forces the front of the boat to always point into the waves. That is the safest way to ride out a storm, and it dramatically reduces your chances of capsizing.
All right, you've managed to stabilize the boat. Now what? Well, now one single priority trumps everything else. You have to get found. You're a tiny speck in a huge ocean, and the next layer of equipment is all about making sure someone, somewhere, can see you. And to do that, you have a whole arsenal of signals. For long range, especially at night, you've got rocket parachute flares. These things shoot up 300 meters in the air and can be seen for miles. If help gets closer, you switch to a hand flare, which is intensely bright. And for the daytime, you use these buoyant smoke signals. They pump out a huge cloud of thick orange smoke, which, as a bonus, also shows a rescue helicopter which way the wind is blowing. But it's not all about fireworks. You've also got some surprisingly simple but effective tools. I mean, a basic signaling mirror can flash sunlight and be seen from miles away by a plane. But the real game changer here might be the radar reflector. See, a lifeboat is mostly fiberglass, which is basically invisible to radar. But you hoist this simple metallic device up, and all of a sudden you go from being a ghost to lighting up like a Christmas tree on a rescue ship's radar screen. Okay, so you're stable and you're signaling, but let's be realistic, rescue might take a while. So the next phase is all about keeping everyone alive, managing thirst, hunger, and any injuries. Now this is really interesting. A lifeboat is required to carry 3 liters of fresh water for every single person on board. An inflatable life raft, on the other hand, only needs 1.5 liters. What does that tell you? It tells you that a lifeboat is designed for a much longer-term survival situation. And what about food? The magic number here is 10,000 kilojoules per person. This usually comes in the form of these really dense, vacuum-packed, high-energy biscuits. They're basically engineered to give you as much fuel as possible without making you thirsty, which is just brilliant when you think about how precious every drop of water is. This might seem like a small thing, but the anti-seasickness tablets are absolute lifesavers. In a cramped, stressful environment like a lifeboat, if one person gets sick, it can spread like wildfire. And that leads to vomiting, which leads to severe dehydration, a much, much bigger threat than starvation out there. So everyone gets enough for at least 48 hours to stop that dangerous chain reaction before it starts. And of course, there's a first aid kit. It's not designed for major surgery or anything, but it's stocked to handle the most likely problems you'll face. Cuts, burns, pain management, and critically, the whole thing is packed in a waterproof case that you can reseal to keep everything sterile. So every lifeboat is also required to have fishing tackle. But here's the crazy part. It's not really there for food. In fact, eating raw fish can actually make you more dehydrated. No, its real purpose, according to survival experts, is morale.
It gives the survivors a job to do, a sense of purpose, a little bit of hope, and that can be just as vital as anything else.
Okay, you're stable, you're signaling for help, you're sustained with food and water. But what about everything that can still go wrong? Well, the final category of equipment is the toolkit, designed to let you fix problems on the fly.
So this is your Lifeboat's toolbox. You've got your basic stuff from minor engine repairs, a good jackknife for cutting rope, and get this, 3 tin openers. Why 3? Because the regulations actually assume you might have had a chance to grab extra canned food from the ship. And for a true emergency, there are 2 hatchets, one at each end, giving you the brute force to cut a line if you absolutely have to. And beyond all the hand tools, you also have modern communication gear. A waterproof VHF radio lets you talk directly to ships or aircraft. Once they're in range, you can actually help coordinate your own rescue. So, when you step back and you look at all these items together, you start to see the bigger picture. This isn't just a random pile of survival gear. It's a complete, interconnected system, thought up and refined over decades by people all over the world. And that's really the main takeaway here. Every single object, from the sea anchor that keeps you upright to the seasickness pill that keeps you hydrated, is playing a specific part in a carefully choreographed plan for survival. It's a testament to a massive global effort to make the ocean just a little less dangerous. Which really just leaves you with one final thought. This boat holds the collected wisdom of countless sailors, engineers, and safety experts, all focused on a single goal. It is the ultimate plan for the worst day imaginable. So what does that level of foresight really tell us about the power of preparation?